This woman right here is Miss Fani Willis, the district attorney of Fulton County, and she is the woman who's actually pushing forward the case against President Trump and his other associates. And besides the massive scandal that she's already facing in relation to her hiring the man who she was allegedly having an affair with to lead the prosecution against President Trump, well, Ms. Fani Willis was hit with some further bad news just 3 days ago. Specifically, articles of impeachment have been filed against her in the Georgia State Assembly. What happened was that last Friday, right before the weekend, House Resolution 872, you can see it up on your screen, it was submitted to the Georgia State Assembly by State Representative Charlice Byrd. She's a Republican. This resolution, it accuses Ms. Fani Willis of using her office not to pursue justice, but rather for political gain. Quote, the 10-page State House resolution filed on Friday by Ms. Byrd outlines the case for charging Ms. Willis with violations of oath by a public officer under Georgia Code Section 16-10-1. And just for your general reference, that particular state statute, here is what it says in relevant part. Quote, any public officer who willfully and intentionally violates the terms of his oath as prescribed by law shall, upon conviction thereof, be punished by imprisonment for not less than 1 nor more than 5 years. Now, this resolution then goes on to list 22 specific articles of impeachment, each one of them being an alleged violation of that particular law, Georgia Code 16-10-1. And out of those 22 articles of impeachment, quote, 19 of the impeachment charges are allegations that Ms. Willis's prosecution of President Trump and the 18 other co-defendants under Georgia's organized crime laws was done for the purpose of advancing her political career and so grossly violates her oath of office. Meaning that 19 of these charges.
So right now, y'all, first person you're hearing this from, right here, Person on Podcast, impeachment articles have been filed against Fani Willis. And there are 22. Doesn't it sound similar to how she charged people? It's funny how the chickens have come home to roost, everybody. The chickens have come home to roost. How many charges in Trump? 100 charges, 30 defendants. How many charges in YSL? 30 defendants, 700 witnesses. All of this cost Georgia money. That's why Atlanta Public Schools was the most expensive case ever, because it was a RICO with 30 defendants. What hasn't been talked about with all of these RICO cases is how much it's costing the state of Georgia. Even in these articles of impeachment, they should be listening to Perfect Timing Podcast, because what you left out of the articles of impeachment is her misuse. No, wait a minute. They did. I'm sorry. Let me get back to the video.
They allege that the RICO prosecution against President Trump is not being done to pursue justice, but rather it's being done for political purposes. And then the other 3 charges, well, they are, you can say, a bit more interesting. One of the charges is for allegedly withholding material evidence from the jury. Then another one of the charges has to do with Miss Fani Willis allegedly owing money to the state of Georgia when she took office. Here's specifically what the resolution says. Quote, allegedly falsely claiming she was not the holder of any unaccounted for public money due the state while owing late fees stemming from her candidacy for office. Now,
wait, because people gonna say we being mean. If you know what I'm saying, if we go in a way we could go in this sector, and I think that a lot of the brothers in the sector have gotten a lot more respectful toward women, and we don't, go in on women. Because look at how they treat Tommy, man. And then Angry Man about to have 1 million subscribers. Congratulations. So a lot of the brothers have changed their tenor when talking about black women. But in this moment right here, we really could go in. Because she left owing money, you know what I'm saying? She left owing money, you know what I'm saying? And she left owing money, and she lied about owing the money, man. So she left office owing money, and then when they asked her, did you owe any money to the state, she lied about owing money, and then she came back. A lot of this is her. It's like the Harvard president. This is her own doing. You might say, okay, well, what led to this? Why did she come back to work for the Atlanta district attorney? You could say she got away with murder. If this is why it's important to study the Atlanta Public Schools RICO case, where 30 teachers, black women, were charged with the RICO. And it's similar to all of her RICO cases, because the thing is that the linchpin with the Atlanta Public Schools is, when you do the research, is that there were no crime. The teachers didn't break the law. So the only thing they were charged with was the RICO. Don't that sound familiar? So if they didn't get the RICO, they didn't get anything, because there was no other crime that the teachers committed. So because they couldn't get the teachers on breaking the law, Fani and the DA of Atlanta, which was a black man at the time, said we're going to charge the teachers with RICO as if they conspired like a mafia. And they said in Georgia, there's a special allocation, which I believe is a racist interpretation of the RICO law intended for whites to go after blacks. But instead you have boule blacks prosecuting other blacks with this law in Atlanta, right? This is a black man who was dead and he lost after that. This black man who prosecuted these 30 teachers because of Fani Willis and a RICO, he lost and got fired. So him and Fani Willis both left after the Atlanta public schools. This is the thing about when I talk about this, I feel like people don't understand and people don't listen and people don't pay attention to the right things. When I bring up Atlanta public schools for a reason, I don't see enough of it in my comment sections in the chat. I don't see enough people researching and talking about Fani Willis and Atlanta public schools being the most expensive case in Georgia history and how much money these RICO cases cost. Fani Willis got fired. I'll say this. Fani Willis left the Atlanta DA office after Atlanta public schools and all of the heat came down, right? And so did the black male DA. She went to work in the private sector. She represented the co-founder of YSL in a criminal case, and she got him exonerated. She then again ran for district attorney of Atlanta after leaving, right? After leaving and representing the code. Now she runs again, and then when she runs, she says, I'm going to prosecute YSL. But what people don't know is while she wasn't working as district attorney, she represented the co-founder. So that's why you don't see Fani Willis in the courtroom. She keeps messing up, you guys. She's doing this to herself. Why did she come back to work? She's facing criminal charges now, criminal time. And you could say these people are racist and they're going after her. No, why did she come back to work for the Atlanta District Attorney Office after Atlanta Public Schools? She did this to herself. She already had dirt on her name and dirt on her sleeve from the Atlanta Public Schools RICO case. And she represented YSL co-founder. She thought she could get away with murder. It's her ego. I wish you guys would listen. It's not biased. It's not racial. It's her ego. She's unethical, and she should be out of office. There's no even argument about it. It's no argument about it.
That is a very unusual charge. And what it basically means is that over in the state of Georgia, it's illegal for someone to take office if they owe money to the state. And allegedly, Ms. Fani Willis was sworn into office while she still owed money to the Georgia Elections Commission, while at the same time, she again allegedly claimed that she did not owe any money. And then the last of the charges in the articles of impeachment here has to do with her, quote, swearing in her oath of office to take only my lawful compensation while allegedly profiting from her relationship with Mr. Wade. And of course, that last part there about Mr. Wade, that refers to the ongoing scandal that's been brewing in this case for the past 3 or 4 weeks now, ever since a bombshell court filing revealed the fact that Ms. Fani Willis had actually hired Mr. Nathan Wade, with whom she was having allegedly an affair with, to be the lead prosecutor against both President Trump and the other co-defendants. She then paid Mr. Nathan Wade significant amounts of taxpayer money, about $700,000 in total, after which he turned around and, again, allegedly took her on many beautiful vacations to places around the world, Napa Valley, Florida, the Caribbean, and so on. Now, when introducing these articles of impeachment, Ms. Charlice Byrd, she said this in a statement, again, when she actually introduced the articles, quote, Fani Willis has a laundry list of potential conflicts that make her unworthy and unfit to be the district attorney in Fulton County. Someone elected to that office is expected to uphold the law and not weaponize their office for political gain. The time to act is now, and I encourage my colleagues in the General Assembly to join me and impeach Fani Willis. Now, the way that this works in Georgia is very similar to the way it works at the federal level. Now that these articles of impeachment have been introduced to the Georgia State Assembly, they will be voted upon, and if it's voted in the affirmative, there will be an actual trial in the Georgia State Senate. And given the fact that the Georgia State Assembly is overwhelmingly in the hands of Republicans,
the time to act is now. There is a laundry list. Fani Willis has a laundry list of reasons why she shouldn't be district attorney. That's what I've talked about every day since I first brought up Fani Willis. It hasn't been about hip hop. It hasn't been about music. It hasn't been about YSL. It's been about Fani Willis. Going back to Atlanta Public Schools, there's a laundry list of things and reasons she's completely unethical and she's compromised herself in the office. Haven't you heard that before? And this is a perfect iteration of that. She's compromised herself and the office. As long as she remains in office, there is no district attorney of Atlanta. Because the Atlanta district attorney is so unethical, it's like you don't have an office right now. That's what happens. She's compromised the position. She has to step down. Her being in the office compromises it. It says that Atlanta is corrupt. It says Atlanta is corrupt. If she stays in office, then Atlanta is corrupt. She compromised the office. She did it. A laundry list. She owed money. She wasn't supposed to run when she owed money. She had an affair with a married man. She didn't